Hi everyone, it's me, Richard. Today I just want to kind of show you some of the tips and tricks when you try to debug or troubleshoot your plugin channels. So as everyone knows, the plugin channels is kind of coming from our legacy approach to integrate with VMDs using your stopcode. Um, when you start to have those legacy channel, it could be built by other people. When you start receiving error messages, you try to figure out what's the best way. Here's how. So first things to start, we needed to kind of understand how this plugin codes was created. You can create a simple VMD files just like that demonstrate. It has some kind of data message grammars. It has some tables you want to do convert to HL7s. Then in this case, all you have to do just click on Chameleon stop codes, and it will allow you to select what's the prefix of your stopcode prefix files names, and then you have a list of variety of C++, Visual Basic, or Java codes they can generate. The one I have is using C++ Visual Studio 2010. I have not tested your version, so I don't know, whether they're compatible or not. You can use like a Visual Studio that is available online for your downloading. The chance I probably already have one. Besides that, you needed to choose what is the project type. For this case, there's a stopcode. Basically, it's generated plain vanilla of a data structure in the language you choose, right? There are many for the parsing the message or generate a table. So if you want to take a look at what's it look like, it will be generating something like a HL7 folder that has like a message registry, which is matching this message types, and has like a patient tables matching this patients here. Okay. Once you have that, when you will see some customers will have a standalone applications because they just want to use Chameleon for parsing purpose or generate HL7. So they will choose a stopcode with a client example or a stopcode with server. In that case, you don't need a Chameleon, you don't need Iguana. You just use your own the applications, either C++, Java, or C#, right? But you have to build the client side or server side. This one just give you one example how they can communicate and use. In our example here, we'll be primarily focused on Iguana destinations plugin and Iguana source plugin. That will be integrated inside Iguana from plugin and the two plugin channels. Okay. So you will choose one of those and click on generate. Once you generate it, you will see a sum like this. So you will still have HL7 parsing all the grammars inside the HL7 folder. You have a bunch of additional files that will be generated to integrate it into Iguana from plugin or to plugin. In this case, you need to open your C++ Visual Studio applications and import this Iguana inside. Once you import it, there's one more thing you had to be built before you start debugging, is to click on build so you can generate the executable file, making sure all the codes can compile because you will probably add your own customization code inside this C++ code. And also you needed to click on the properties debugging, making sure the argument is passing wherever the Iguana IP address, in this case is localhost, the port that Iguana used to communicate with plugin port, and the channel you want to integrate with. So either a channel that is a front channel or two channel. In this case, it's two channel I use, which is destination plugin channel. Once you have been set up, you just need to go back to the Iguana site. Okay. In this case, you can create like LP to plugin. Inside this to plugin, by default, you will choose not executable. Once you have been debugging successful testing is no problem, then you can click on debugging and assign to the executable in here. That will I will show you in the another example. Just for this case, I will disable this function. So when this channel being turned on, it will show as yellow stage and say waiting for connection. So for your application in this Visual Studio to connect into that channel, all you had to do is just for time being, it's not this. You just turn on the debug of this here, and it will show up to say at the beginning, it will show the message has been connected, because I have some channels, I have some message in the queue, so it start processing the message already, as you can see. By this time, or if you go back to the Iguana, here, so it will show green. So that means to show the message has been connected. So in this case, what you want to do some debugging is to make sure you choose the area where you want to debugging, and you go back to the Iguana channel. In this case, I set the plugin timeout, right? So by default, it's like 10 seconds. So if you want debug for a longer term, you probably add more zero here. So in this case, I have 100 seconds. So within 2 minutes to finish my debug. Okay. So in this case, I already have a setup debug point here. Just when the message you receive, I want to see what's inside the input message, whether it can happen. So in this case, I have one of the channel that I can send data generator using the LLP, send it back to this LLP, talk to the plugin, go back to my Visual Studio debugger. We should be able to see it. Okay. This is just to send the one message as an example here. So I turn on the here. I have one message coming. Right away, I'm going to stop it. As you can see, the message debugger has been stopping here. And I want to see what this message inside. All I had to do, just say, hey, add to watcher. So I click on add to watcher, and then voila, you can see underneath, this is my message I received. So you can do a lot of debugging in here, but make sure that the timeout does not exceed the actual timeout. Otherwise, you're going to receive a channel breakdown to say timeout has been reached. Okay. So that is the example of how you can use Visual Studio to do debugging. To turn it on, turn it off, I can turn it off here, and then go back here. I can turn this off. To in the production environment where you don't have the source code and you wanted to run it, in this case, you can use this example by pointing to your executable files, right? So I have one example. This is like a source from this plugin where they're going to generate a sample data here. So this monitoring here is very important, because once this channel has been turned on, it will not go into the debug here, of course, right? You're in the production environment. So you want to view all the output using the diagnosis tool. So remember all the things that you have, like say count, and then these things, when you print it on your logs, it will be directly print out inside this one here. Okay. Just without further ado, let me give you a quick example here. So I have a plugin, generate the random messages, goes to this LLP. As this PL, I'm going to have an actual 7 listener receiving it, push into empty translator. I should be able to see actual 7 in both logs. So I will start in this LLP, make sure this is good. And then I will start the source channel. And within a few minutes, few seconds, this message has been processed. Okay, and I will stop here. So as you can see here, the log has been showing today, and if I see this messages, and I can trace this message, show all the entries, right? So you can see a message has been pushed, accepted here, right? So to debug this part, or at least to investigate what's happening, what you could do is making sure you have enough debug logs written inside your application, built into executable. So you can click on this diagnosis tool and start print out what the message you want to have. So if you don't see those messages, chances are your application or executable startup failure, or the port number has been blocked by something else. I think I may have a few error logs. So let's see if I have few. Right, so you can see, right, there are a few things we have error showing that plugin connection attempt failures. Maybe maximize it, right? The connection plugin was received abstractly, so you see something like those error messages. Okay, So hopefully this is good introduction. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out support. Bye.